Use Neuro-Fuzzy system for classification. Abstract. A neuro-fuzzy framework, or a fuzzy neural organization, is a fuzzy framework which utilizes the neural organization to gain proficiency with the boundaries of the fuzzy framework. This paper reflects light on how do we use neuro-fuzzy system for classification. Keywords: pattern classification, feature selection, neural networks, fuzzy sets, neuro-fuzzy classification, fuzzification, fuzzy, fuzzy classification, neuro-fuzzy system, NFFR model. Introduction. A combination of neural networks, NNs, and fuzzy frameworks is one such crossbreed method and is known as neuro-fuzzy, NF, registering. In pattern classification system, uncertainty can rise at any phase, resulting from vagueness or ambiguity in input data, incomplete or imprecise input information, as well as ambiguity in defining/extracting characteristics and relationships between them. Since the fuzzy set hypothesis, Zade, 1965, is a speculation of the old-style set hypothesis, it has more noteworthy adaptability to catch different parts of inadequacy or defect about genuine circumstances. A neurofuzzy structure is a fuzzy system that uses a taking in calculation got from or pushed by neural organization theory to choose its limits, fuzzy sets and fuzzy standards, by preparing information tests. A neurofluffy framework can be reviewed as a three-layer feed-forward neural organization. The first layer characterizes input variable, second one characterizes fuzzy rules, and third one represents output variable. Moreover, it can be always clarified as a system of fuzzy rules, and is prominent in for huge parallel in structure that processes a massive quantity of information concurrently. It has a significant cognitive functioning in the presence of relatively less information, and is now applied effectively in various issue areas, for example, time series expectation, grouping, and framework control. The considerable drawback of N is to deal with the loose or unsure information. Because of the presence of soft and equivocal input data, a few vulnerabilities may emerge at any phase of the information arrangement process. Fuzzy set, FS, is a most reasonable strategy to deal with these vulnerability issues. In the customary classification algorithms, is pattern is to be assorted belong to one class. This is ship-shape classification paradigm. In fuzzy classification, each pattern pertains to each class with a membership value. If we assume a style P, AAP1, AAP2A, AAPC are the membership values of pattern P to classes 1, 2AC. This can be changed over into crisp grouping by allotting design P to the class to which its enrollment esteem is most noteworthy. From finished-up neural organization hypothesis, a neurofuzzy framework dependent on a supporting fuzzy framework is prepared through an information-driven learning technique. Literature survey. Novel approach to neurofuzzy classification. Neural networks. According to Ghosh, 2009, this paper proposes another model for neurofuzzy, NF, order frameworks. The inspiration is to use the component astute level of belonging of examples to all classes that are gotten through a fuzzification cycle. A participation matrix having complete number of components equivalent to the result of the quantity of highlights and classes present in the informational index is created by a fuzzification cycle. These matrix components are the contribution to neural networks. For benchmark informational collections, totally named, and two distant detecting pictures, to some degree named, is set up with the effectuality of the proposed model. Additionally, different execution estimates, for example, misclassification, grouping precision, and kappa record of understanding for totally labeled data sets, and file of homogeneity and Davies-Bolden, DB, list of conservativeness for distantly detected pictures are utilized for quantitative investigation of results. This load of measures upheld the excellency of the proposed NF characterization model. Indeed, even with a lower level of preparing information, the proposed model learns well, that makes the framework quick. Nonetheless, the fundamental justification utilizing fuzzy techniques for arrangement is as a rule to acquire and explain classifier. A neurofuzzy framework can generally, for example beforehand, during and resulting to learning, be unrevealed as an arrangement of fuzzy principles. It is both conceivable to make the framework out of training data without any preparation, and it is conceivable to instate it by earlier information in type of fuzzy rules. According to Lee, 2002, a fuzzy neural network with memory associations for order, and weight associations for determination is presented, along these lines settling at a time two major issues in pattern recognition, feature selection and pattern classification. The proposed network endeavors to choose significant provisions from among the initially given conceivable elements, while maintaining the fundamental acknowledgement rate. The subsequent estimation of weight association speaks to the level of significance of highlight. Moreover, the information procured by the organization can be portrayed as a series of rules that can be interpreted. Anderson's IRIS dataset has been used to verify the efficacy of this new hybrid neuro-fuzzy and feature reduction model for classification approach. The outcomes are, first, the utilization of two highlights chose by our strategy from among the first four are included in the planned network brings about basically indistinguishable classifier execution, and second, the built classifier is depicted by three simple rules that are of on the off chance that structure. According to Baraldi, 1998, there are two main streams for study the methods of pattern recognition, namely supervised and unsupervised learning. Also, proposes own meaning of fuzzy neural coordinated organizations. This model is proposed as a bringing together structure for correlation of calculations. According to Das, 2020, the evolvement of the fuzzy system has indicated powerful and effective in numerous all-inclusive estimate capacities and applications. This paper proposes feature reduction, NFFR, and a crossover neuro-fuzzy model for information examination. This proposed NFFR model uses a part-based class belongingness fuzzification measure for every one of the examples. During the fuzzification interaction, in light of the quantity of classes accessible in the dataset, every one of the elements are created. It assists with compacting with the doubt issues and helps the artificial neural network, based model to accomplish exquisite execution. Nonetheless, because of this gradual addition of info highlights in the fuzzification interaction, the intricacy of the issue broadens. These extended highlights may not generally contribute altogether to the model. To defeat this issue, to sift through the inconsequential highlights, the feature reduction, FR, is utilized, coming about the organization less computational expense. These decreased critical highlights are utilized in the N-based model to group the data. The ampleness of this proposed model is attempted and endorsed with 10 benchmark data sets, both changed and unbalanced, to display the introduction of the proposed NFFR model. The exhibition examination of the NFFR model with different partners has been done dependent on different execution estimates, for example, characterization exactness, root implies square error, accuracy, review, and F measure for quantitative evaluation of the outcomes. The acquired recreated results have been tried utilizing the Friedman, Holm, and ANOVA tests under the null speculation for factual legitimacy and rightness confirmation of the outcomes. The outcome investigation and measurable examination show that the NFFR model has accomplished an impressive improvement in exactness and is observed to be effective in wiping out excess and loud data. Enhanced neuro-fuzzy system for classification using dynamic clustering. According to Wang Chomfu, 2014, the enhanced neuro-fuzzy framework for grouping utilizing the adaptive clustering presented in this study is an extension of the first neuro-fuzzy technique for semantic component determination and rule-based characterization. The terminations of the first calculation that utilizes just 3 enrollment capacities for all elements to find the befitting capacity for each element is settled by new calculation. Every envisage of the dataset is got pre-processed by a new approach to clustering glancingly. Each dataset's neuro-fuzzy order models are created based on the number of groups partitioned for each element. Another computation has been changed to use the double rather than the bipolar as the original method in order to operate properly in the neuro-fuzzy framework. To test the enactment of the proposed algorithm, 13 datasets were used. This technique can expand execution of the generally conformation high-precision neurofuzzy for grouping found by the normal exactness determined from the 10 overlap cross-approval. Few more approaches. Modern neurofuzzy frameworks are generally addressed as a multifaceted feed-forward neural organization. Neurofuzzy systems are applied in various spaces, for example information investigation, control, choice help, and so forth. The learning qualifications of neural organizations, NN, made them a practical objective for a mix with fuzzy frameworks to abetment or computerize the way toward developing a fastidious system for a given task. Neurofuzzy classification of asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, the adaptive dynamic clustering neurofuzzy system for classification are some of the more approaches for classification. Conclusion. From the above paper and research it come to conclusion that there are lots of methods for which the neurofuzzy system from neural networks can be used for classification. Moreover, some of the methods are mentioned above. However, the primary purpose behind utilizing fuzzy strategies for arrangement is as a rule to get an interpretable classifier. Utilizations of artificial intelligence, AI, in different fields are getting increasingly more well known during the most recent decade, and that is the reason a lot of significant research has been directed. There are huge opportunity for neurofuzzy system in future in fields like economic system, student modeling, image processing and feature extraction, traffic control.